there was no Uber Elevate, there was no all eVTOL companies, and we were really like trailblazing the whole thing. And trailblazing the whole thing, we understood that electric brings a lot of benefits, but also comes with some drawbacks that are still very hard to overcome, like battery weight, like charging times. Like you absolutely need a charging station, on your infrastructure.
Welcome to Hangar X Studios, where former fighter pilot and host John Ramstead takes us on a journey across aerospace as it enters an historic period of innovation and transformation. Our guests include aviation experts, pilots, financiers, military leaders, and innovators of all types. Buckle up for another episode of Hangar X.
Hey, welcome to the Hangar X Studios podcast. We're live at Verticon, and this is where disruptors and innovators and investors and those that are just leading us into the future of aerospace come and gather and have conversations, and we get to learn what the rest of the people aren't going to learn for at least weeks to come. So it helps us make better decisions. And today I'm really excited to have Thibault Baldivia on. Thibault, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you are the co-founder and one of the brains behind a new company called Ascendance or Ascendance.
Yeah, that's correct.
Which is a hybrid electric VTOL that I went and looked at everything about your company, did some research, and the specs and what you're doing, I think, is really smart because it's out past what the air taxis are doing. It's going to be a much more, I think, realistic mission set. So tell me a little bit about yourself and your background that led you all the way up to the point of founding Ascendance.
Well, thank you very much for asking. And once again, thank you for having me here. I'm super pleased to be here. So before founding Ascendance, my three co-founders and I were part of Airbus. And we used to work on one of the very first all-electric aircraft in the world, which was called the E-Fan. It was a small two-seater, full electric aircraft that was the first all-electric aircraft to cross the English Channel back in 2015, and it's actually the main.
Was that one of the first ones that actually ever flew? I mean, this was like a proof of concept almost.
It was one of the very first, and it was more than a decade ago. At this time we were just there was no Uber Elevate, there was no all eVTOL companies, and we were really like trailblazing the whole thing. And trailblazing the whole thing, we understood that electric brings a lot of benefits, but also comes with some drawbacks that are still very hard to overcome, like battery weight, like charging times. Like you absolutely need a charging station, on your infrastructure. And we thought, yeah, but if you really want to do like efficient operations, doing your business, flying your missions, then you need something which is more modular. And this is why we went with hybrid electric, which is a combination of battery. So you have the electrical part, but you have conventional fuel as well, or sustainable aviation fuel, to bring you farther and faster than what electric can do.
Yeah, so hybrid electric, the way I understand it is you basically have a very small, powerful turbine engine. So it's burning just not a lot of gas. So it's very environmentally friendly.
It is.
That's driving a very powerful generator that's then providing the power to all the different propulsory units. And then, but you need a much smaller battery pack, right? Because I'm not relying on the battery pack. Is this?
No, that is absolutely correct.
That's my understanding. Because the big benefit is I only might need 20% of a battery pack because you just want to have that emergency backup to go and land. I don't need it for a whole mission. Am I thinking about it correctly?
Absolutely. And I'm gonna take you with me on our technical meeting because my engineering team is not here, and you'll do wonders.
Okay.
That's exactly that. So if you take an aircraft, and it's even truer for a helicopter, you need a lot more power to take off than what you need for cruise flight.
Especially for vertical takeoff. You need 4 times more thrust, if people don't know this, to take off vertically for the same weight as a conventional takeoff.
Exactly. And if you do that, what we're doing actually is we are resizing, optimizing the turbine for cruise flights and the extra power that you need to take off, because of course you still want to take off.
Right.
We're providing that with an electrical boost. And that's basically what we're doing with hybrid electric. And it's super efficient, can, reduce by up to 50% the consumption on a fixed wing aircraft. And on a VTOL, compared to a rotorcraft, it's even further than that because you can get up to minus 80% of fuel consumption. So that's
80% less
yeah, absolutely.
for the same as compared to conventional.
Yeah. So if I take a TIA, for example, which is a 5-seater aircraft, 1 pilot plus 4 passenger. If you compare to a conventional rotorcraft that would do the same kind of mission, like let's take an H-130,
Okay.
you can get up to between -50 up to -80% of fuel consumption less than what you would have with an H-130.
And what's the now your aircraft? You have kind of two things that I want to talk about. Is the ATEA that you just mentioned? What's its cruise? What are some of its specs?
Yeah, sure. So as I said, that's a 5-seater aircraft, 1 pilot plus 4 passengers. You have a range of 400 kilometers, which is roughly 250 miles.
Yep.
And at a speed of 200 kph, which is once again 110 knots, roughly.
Okay.
So we really want to have specs that are closer to a helicopter's because we think that it would be a perfect complement to a light helicopter fleet for our customers. And this is exactly the reason why we're here at Vertical.
Yeah.
To meet, helicopter operators and try to enter this market, which is an existing market. So we don't have to create new missions, new operators, and we can just, take part in reducing carbon emissions from the helicopter emissions and improving operators' business.
Yeah, and because of the STERNA, which is your propulsion system, I can go land in a remote spot.
Yeah.
And I don't have to charge.
That is correct.
Which is a big deal, and I still get the benefits of electrification.
That is absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Our hybrid system, we have a very specific feature, which is what we call in-flight charging. So you can recharge the battery while you're in flight, which means that when you land, you have batteries which is fully charged. You can take off.
And you use the battery as a boost on takeoff if I need it too. So it's like I have basically 2 sources of power.
That is exactly
for takeoff, and then I'm going to recharge that, refill that as I'm flying, but still keep an emergency reserve.
Exactly. Yes. Let's say that everyone says VTOL will be great for enter highlands hopping or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you land on an island, there's good chances that you won't have a Tesla supercharger on the island.
Yeah. Pretty much certainty of that.
Yeah. So you'll need a way to take off again. And our answer to that is hybrid electric, because then you don't need to invest heavily in new infrastructure. And you can just, roll out the whole thing smoother, I would say, than what you would have for electric.
Now, we are familiar with Vertigo, and we've had them on the podcast. Can you share with me what are the differences between their hybrid electric solution, what STERNA is? Because I understand there's they're in different parts of the...
Yes, that is correct. So STERNA is our hybrid electric propulsion system. But exactly our core technology in that is what we call the hybrid pack, which is the batteries with the control and the distribution that is needed when you have a hybrid electric system. So let's roll back a little bit. If you have a hybrid system, you have a turbine and a battery.
Yep.
So you need to make those two work together. So Vertigo, in my opinion, would be providing the turbine components.
So they're doing the turbo generator.
Exactly.
And you're doing everything downstream from that.
And we do the batteries and the connection and the control of that. So we would actually work together to bring hybrid electric to aviation. And if they can hear me, yes, you know that the door's open. Yeah.
Well, they're friends of ours, so we can introduce you. I have a question for you, just as an electrical engineer background. Yeah. The power controls and the conditioning of the output of that electricity to all these different motors and the frequencies and the interplay of kind of that whole electromagnetic spectrum. I'm guessing, maybe you can simplify an answer, but I'm guessing that this is really important, because if I don't understand that really, really well, I'm not going to get the power that I have basically designed my aircraft to. Is that it?
That is absolutely correct.
Could you share a few thoughts on that without going into a PhD class? But I'm just very curious.
Actually, it's a very good question, and on both sides. I mean, on the complex side, so you're absolutely right. When you have several electric motors, when you have often you have several battery packs, because if you lose one, you don't want to lose your entire propulsion.
Right.
So how do you make all those together work? There's one thing, battery packs. The first thing you learn in electrical engineering 101 is not to put battery packs together in a parallel adjustment, I would say. And this is what we're doing.
Yep.
So this is exactly why you need this very specific control, stuff like that, very engineering stuff to make it work. And also from a pilot side, we talked about like engineering complexity, but the pilot, you don't want any complexity.
Right. They just want to.
Yeah, just want to lever.
It's green or red.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And how do you simplify its entire complexity? What are the information that you display in front of the pilot? This is exactly where the value of our system lies in. You really have something which is simple to control. Just have a throttle or lever or whatever to control the whole thing, and then the computer does everything by itself, optimizing the flight, making sure that you are burning as less fuel as you can, and then that you are optimizing your direct operating costs as well.
Okay. Fascinating. I could, my engineering brain is kind of spinning right now, but I promise I won't go down a rabbit hole. So, but Thibault, this is exciting. I'd love to stay in touch. And as you guys have any breakthroughs or hit some milestones, reach out. We'd love to have you come back on the podcast and update us and let us know what's going on. So
we're currently building and assembling the very first prototype aircraft that will be piloted and fly by the end of the year, beginning of next year.
Okay.
So I guess that as soon as we have, the aircraft in the hangar ready to fly.
And where are you based out of?
We're based in France, in Toulouse.
Okay, perfect. So I would love to come to Toulouse, and we'll be there, and we would love to come film that and put it and help you, be part of the media rollout of that.
That's going to be great.
Okay. Plus, I've never been to Toulouse, so
thank you. Wow.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thibault, yes, keep knocking them alive. Great job.
Thank you.